Yahovah is still on his throne. Prayer changes everything, and praise can move mountains. Lord Yahovah, let us be attentive to your word, humble and obedient every day, that we will become vessels of your honor. I pray that the words of this text enlighten the ears of the hearer and offer confirmations and answers to the many end times questions. This I pray in the name of Yahovah and his Son, Yeshua, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I'm going to read from the book of 2nd Esdras today. The book of Ezra, or Esdras, was written by the prophet Ezra. It is a continuation of the biblical book of Ezra. 2nd Esdras is very popular among the Hebrew scholars and contains many enlightening compliments, expansions, and explanations of end times, biblical texts, and prophecies, as well as the epistles of Paul and the book of Revelations. 2nd Esdras, starting at chapter 4, verse 21. For like as the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea to his floods, even so they that dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the earth. And he that dwelleth above the heavens may only understand the things that are above the height of the heavens. Then answered I and said, I beseech you, O Lord, let me have understanding. Now in this is actually Ezra speaking to an angel of the Lord, and the angel of the Lord is answering his questions for him. Picking up at verse 23. For it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such that pass by us daily. Why Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given over unto ungodly nations, and why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught, and the written covenants come to none effect. And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? Of these things I have asked. Then he answered me and said, The more you seek, the more you shall marvel. For the world rushes forward to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in the time to come. For the world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. It's under the curse. But as concerning the things that you have asked me, I will tell you, for evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown is not yet turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown has not passed away, then that which is good cannot come. For the grain of evil seed which has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness has it brought up unto this time? And how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of the threshing come? Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed has brought forth. And when the ears shall be cut down, and by the ears they mean the seeding, the heads that contain the seeds. And when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a threshing floor they shall fill. Then I answered and said, How and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, Do not hasten above the Most High, for thy haste is in vain to be above him. For thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, How long shall I hope in this fashion? When comes the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he hath weighed the world in the balance. By the measure hath he measured the times, and by number he has numbered the times. And he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Then I answered and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, even we are all full of impiety. And for our sakes peradventure it is that the floors of righteousness are not filled, because of the sins of them that dwell upon the earth. So he answered me and said, go thy way to a woman with child, and ask her, when she has fulfilled her 9 months, if her womb may keep the birth any longer within her. Then I said, no, Lord, she cannot do that. And he said unto me, in the grave chambers of souls are like the womb of a woman. For like as a woman that travaileth maketh haste to escape the necessity of that travail, even so do the places haste to deliver those things that are committed unto them. For from the beginning, look, what thou desired to see, it shall be showed to thee. Then I answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, and if it be possible, and if I be meet therefore, show me then therefore there be more to come. Show me then whether there be more to come than is past, or more past than is to come. What is past I know, but what is for to come I don't know. And he said unto me, stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto thee. And so I stood, and saw, and behold, a hot burning oven passed by before me. And it happened that when the flame was gone by, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. And after this there passed by me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm. And when the stormy rain was past, and the drops remained still, then he said unto me, consider with thyself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke. But the drops and the smoke remain behind, so the quantity which is past did more exceed. Then I prayed and said, may I live, thinkest thou, unto that time? Or, what shall happen in those days? And he answered me and said, as for the things whereof thou asked me, I may tell thee of them in part, but as touching your life, I am not sent to show you that, for I do not know the details of your life. Chapter 5. Nevertheless, as coming the things, behold, the days shall come, that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which thou now seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now has root, shall you see wasted suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the 3rd trumpet that the sun shall suddenly give shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day. And the blood shall drop out of the wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And even he shall rule, whom they look for not that dwell upon the earth. And the fowl shall take their flight away together, and the Sodomite sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night, which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be confusion also in many places, and the fire shall often be sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and women of childbearing age shall bring forth monsters, and salt water shall be found in sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another, and shall wisdom hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, and shall be sought of many, and not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency is inability to control oneself, may be multiplied upon the earth. One land shall ask another, and say, Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, No. At the same time shall men hope, but obtain nothing. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. To show thee such things as I have leave, if thou wilt pray again, weep as now, and fast even days, thou shalt hear yet greater things. Then I awakened, and an extreme fearfulness went all through my body, and my mind was troubled so that I fainted, so that the angel that was come to talk with me held me and comforted me, and set me upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been, and why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Get up then, and eat bread, and forsake us not, as the shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. And then I said unto him, Go away from me, and come not near me. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like as Uriel the archangel commanded me. And after 7 days, so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again, and my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee only one vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily, and of all the depths of the sea thou hast filled thee one river, and of all the builded cities thou hast hallowed Zion unto thyself, and of all the fowls that are created thou hast named thee one dove, and of all the cattle that are made thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all multitudes of people thou hast gotten thee one people, and unto this people whom thou lovest thou gavest a law that is approved of all of them. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many, and upon one root hast thou prepared others? Why hast thou scattered thy only one people among so many? And they which did gainsay thy promises, those who use the word of God to further their own personal gain, and believe not thy covenants, have trodden them down. If thou didst so much hate thy people, yet shouldest thou punish them with thine own hands. Now when I had spoken these words, the angel that came to me the night before was sent unto me, and said unto me, Hear me, and I will instruct thee. Hearken to the thing that I say, and I shall tell thee more. And I said, Speak on, my Lord. And then he said unto me, Thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake. Lovest thou that people better than he that has made them? And I said, No, Lord, but of very grief I have spoken, for my reins pain me the very hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High, and seek to part out his judgment. And so he said unto me, Thou cannot. And I said, Wherefore, Lord? Wherefore? Why was I born then? Or why was not my mother's womb then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Jacob, the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel? And he said unto me, Number me the things that are not yet come, gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad, make me the flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that are in them that are shut up. Show me the image of a voice, and then I will declare to thee the thing that thou laborest to know. And I said, O Lord, that bearest rule, who may know these things but he that hath not his dwelling with men? As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things thereof thou asked me? And he said unto me, Like as thou cannot do, or can do none of these things that I have spoken, even so can thou not find out my judgment, and in the end the love that I have promised unto my people. And I said, Behold, O Lord, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved unto the end. And what shall they do that have been before me, or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, Could thou not make those that have been made, and be now, and that are for to come, all at once, that thou might show thy judgment sooner? Then he answered me and said, The creature may not haste above the Maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. And I said, As thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou, which give life to all, hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created, and the creature bare it, even so might now also bear them that now be present all at once. And he said unto me, Ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, If thou bringest forth children, why dost thou do it not together, but one after the other? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, She cannot, but she must do it by the distance of time. Then he said unto me, Even so as I have given the womb of the earth to those that be sown in it their times. For like as a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the aged, even so have I disposed the world which I created. And I asked and said, Seeing thou hast now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee of our mother, of whom thou hast told me that she is young, draweth nigh unto age. And he answered me and said, Ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, Wherefore are unto they whom thou now hast brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? And she shall answer thee, They that are born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, are otherwise. Consider therefore also that ye are of less stature than those that were before you, and so are they that come after you less than thee. As the creatures which now begin to be old have passed over in the strength of youth. Then I said, Lord, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom you visited thy creature. Chapter 6. And he said unto me, In the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sinned were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other, and by me also they shall be ended, and by no other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Then he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, then Jacob and Esau were born of him. Jacob's hand first held the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Ezra, do not ask. Or as to the other question, do not ask. I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of these things, whereof thou showedst me part last night. So he answered and said unto me, Stand upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice, and it shall be as if it were a great motion, but the place where thou stand shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, do not be afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembles and is moved, for it knows that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I heard it, I stood upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, Behold, the days are come, that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make an inquisition of them that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these things. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year shall speak with their voices, and women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 and 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still. In the 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation in the end of your world, and the end of your world. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed, and turned unto another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words he said unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the Mighty hath seen thy righteous dealing, and hath also seen thy chastity, which thou hast had since thy youth. And therefore hath he sent me to show thee all these things, and say unto thee, Be of good comfort, and fear not, and hasten not with the times that are past, to think upon vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this that I wept again, and fasted 7 days in like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of creation, even the first day, and said thus, Let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect work. And then was the Spirit, and darkness and silence were on every side. And the sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures, that thy work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest spirit of the firmament, and commanded it to part asunder, and to make a division between the waters, that one part might go up and be the sky, and the other remain beneath and be the sea, or the land. Upon the 3rd day thou did command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6th part thou hast dried up and kept them, and to the intent that some of these, being planted of God and tilled, might serve thee. For as soon as thy word went forth, that work was made. For immediately there was of great innumerable fruit, and many diverse pleasures for the taste, and flowers of unchangeable color, and odors of wonderful smell. And this was done the 3rd day. Upon the 4th day thou commandest that the sun should shine, and the moon should give her light, and the stars should be in order. Thou gave them a charge to do service unto man, and that was to be made. Upon the 5th day thou said unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. For the dumb water was without life, and it brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wonderful works. Then did thou ordain 2 living creatures, one thou called Enoch, and the other Leviathan, and did separate the one from the other. For the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gave 1 part, which was dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gave the 7th part, namely, the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when. Upon the 6th day thou gave commandment unto the earth, that it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creeping things, and after these Adam also, whom thou made Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and also the people whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou made the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing, but they be like unto spittle, has likened the abundance of them unto the drop that falls from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold these heathen, after which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thine only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given over into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance in the world? How long shall this endure? Chapter 7. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me nights before. And he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And said I, Speak on, my Lord. Then he said unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case. Now, putting the case means, take for instance, or he's like telling like a parable in that. So, put the case that the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and rule it? If he had not gone through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? There is also another thing, or this is another metaphor. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand, and a deep water on the left. And only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, a path so narrow that there could only be one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto man for an inheritance, if he shall never pass the danger set before it, how then should he receive this inheritance? And I said, It is so, Lord. Then he said unto me, Even so is Israel's portion. Because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then there were entrances of this world. Then were the entrances of this world to come made narrow, full of sorrow and travail, but they are few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those things that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing that thou art but a corruptible man? And why are you moved, whereas you are just mortal? Why have you not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, O Lord that bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but that the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer these straight things, and hope for the wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, There is no judge above God, and none that hath understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God that is set before them. For God has given the straight commandment to such as come, that they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe in order to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient to him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways, but his law they have despised, and denied his covenants. In his statutes they have not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore, Esdras, for the empty are empty things, and for the full are full things. Behold, the time shall come, that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now is withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evil shall see my wonders. For my Son Jesus shall be revealed within those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. After these years shall my Son Christ die, and all men that have life. And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after the 7 days the world yet awaketh not shall be raised up, and shall die that is corrupt, and that shall die that is corrupt. And the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her, and so shall the dust that dwell in silence. And the secret places shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them. And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain, truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong, and the work shall follow, and the reward shall be showed, and the good deeds shall be of force, and the wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Then said I, Abraham prayed for the Sodomites, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness, and Jesus after him for Israel in the time of Achan, and Samuel and David for the destruction, and Solomon for them that should come to the sanctuary, and Elias, which I think is Elijah, for those that received rain, and for the dead that he might live, and Ezekias, which is more than likely the Greek word for Ezekiel, for the people in the time of Sennacherib, and many for many. Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up, and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly, wherefore shall it not be also? He answered me and said, This present life is not the end where much glory doth abide. Therefore they have prayed for the weak. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past, intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that has gotten the victory. I answered then and said, This is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given earth unto Adam, or else, when it was given to him, to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, and after the death to look for punishment. O thou, Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was that thou sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but all we that come of thee. For what profit is it unto us, if there be promised an immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring upon death? And that there is promised us an everlasting hope, whereas ourselves, being most wicked, are made vain. And that there are laid up for us dwellings of health and safety, whereas we have lived wickedly. And that the glory of the Most High is kept to defend them which have led a weary life, whereas we have walked in the most wicked ways of all. And that there should be showed a paradise, whose fruit endures forever, wherein as security and medicine, since we shall not enter it. For we have walked in unpleasant places, and the faces of them that have used abstinence shall shine above the stars, whereas our faces shall be blacker than darkness. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer it after death. Then answered he me, and said, This is the condition of the battle, which man is born upon the earth shall fight. That if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said, but if he gets the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. For this is the life whereof Moses spoke unto the people while he lived, saying, Choose thee life that thou may live. Nevertheless they believed not in him, nor in the prophets after him, nor in me which have spoken unto them, that there should not be such heaviness in their destruction, as shall be joy over them that are persuaded to salvation. I answered then and said, I know, Lord, that the Most High is called merciful, in that he hath mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world, and unto those also that turn to his law, and that he is patient and long-suffering those that have sinned as his creatures, that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needeth, and that he is of great mercy, for he multiplies more and more mercies to them that are present, and that are past, and also them that are to come. For if he shall not multiply his mercies, the world would not continue with them that inherit thereof. And he pardons, for if he did not do so of his goodness, that they which have committed iniquities might be eased of them, 10,000th part of man should not remain living. And being judge, if he should not forgive them that are cured with his word, and put out of the multitude of contentions, there should be very few left, peradventure in an innumerable multitude. Moving on to chapter 8. And he answered me, saying, The Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for a few. I will tell thee a similitude, which is like another parable. Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee that it giveth much mold, which I believe in this case mold means clay, whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that gold cometh of. Even so is the course of this present world. There be many created, but few shall be saved. So answered I and said, Swallow then down, O my soul, understanding, and devour wisdom. For thou hast agreed to give ear, and art willing to prophesy, for thou hast no longer space than only to live. O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and give us seed unto our heart, and culture to our understanding, that there may come fruit of it, how shall each man live that is corrupt, who beareth the place of a man? For thou art alone, and we all one workmanship of thine hands, like as thou hast said. For when the body is fashioned now in the mother's womb, and thou givest it members, thy creature is preserved in fire and water, and 9 months does thy workmanship endure, thy creature which is created in her. But that which keepeth and is kept shall both be preserved. And when the time cometh, the womb preserved delivereth up the things that grew in it. For thou hast commanded out of the parts of the body, that is to say, out of the breast, the milk to be given, which is given the fruit of the breast, that the thing which is fashioned may be nourished for a time, till thou disposest it to thy mercy. Thou brought it up with thy righteousness, and nurtured it in thy law, and reformed it with thy judgment. And thou shalt mortify it as thy creature, and quicken it as thy work. If therefore thou shalt destroy him with which so great labor was fashioned, it is an easy thing to be ordained by this commandment, that the thing which was made might be preserved. Now therefore, Lord, I will speak, touching man in general. Thou knowest best, by touching thy people, for whose sake I am sorry, and for thine inheritance, for whose cause I mourn, and for Israel, for whom I am heavy, and for Jacob, for whose sake I am troubled. Wherefore will I begin to pray before thee for myself and for them, for I see the falls of us that dwell in the land, but I have heard the swiftness of the judge which is to come. Therefore hear my voice and understand my words, and I shall speak before thee. This is the beginning of the words of Esdras, before he was taken up. And I said, O Lord, thou that dwellest in the everlastings, which beholdest from above things of heaven and in the air, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling, whose service is conversant with wind and fire, whose word is true, and sayings constant, whose commandment is strong and ordinance fearful, whose look drieth up the depths, and indignation maketh the mountains to melt away, which the truth witnesses. O hear the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. For while I live I will speak, and so long as I have understanding I will answer. O look not upon the sins of thy people, but on them which serve thee in truth. Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies in afflictions. Think not upon those that have walked vainly before thee, but remember them, which according to thy will have known thy fear. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts, but to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Take thou no indignation at them which are deemed worse than beasts, but love them that always put their trust in thy righteousness and glory. For we and our fathers do languish of such diseases, but because of us sinners thou shalt be called merciful. For if thou hast desired to have mercy upon us, thou shalt be called merciful, to us namely, that have no works of righteousness. For the just, which have many good works laid up with thee, shall out of their own deeds receive reward. But what is man that thou should take displeasure at him? Or what is corruptible generation, that thou should be so bitter toward it? For in them is no man among them that be born, but he that has dealt wickedly. And among the faithful there is none which is not done amiss. For in this, O Lord, thy righteousness and thy goodness shall be declared, if thou be merciful unto them which have not the confidence of good works. Then answered he to me and said, Some things hast thou spoken aright, and according to thy words it shall be. For indeed I will not think on the disposition of them that have sinned before death, before their judgment, before destruction. But I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous. I will remember also their pilgrimage, and the salvation and the reward that they shall have. Like as I have spoken now, so shall it come to pass. For as the husbandman, or the gardener, soweth much seed upon the ground, and planteth many trees, and yet the thing that is sown good in his season cometh not up, neither doth all that is planted take root, even so is it of them that are sown in the world. They shall not all be saved. I answered them and said, If I have found grace, let me speak. Like as the husbandman's seed perishes, if it come not up, and receive not thy rain in thy due season, or if there come too much rain and rot it, even so perishes man also, which is formed by thy hands, and is called thine own image, because thou art like unto him. For whose sake thou hast made all things, and likened him unto the husbandman's seed, or the gardener's seed. Be not wroth with us, but spare thy people, and have mercy upon thine own inheritance, for thou art merciful unto thy creature. Then he answered me and said, Things present are for the present, and things to cometh shall be to come. For thou comest far short, that thou should be able to love my creature more than I. But I have oftentimes drawn nigh unto thee and unto it, but never to the unrighteous. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou hast humbled thyself, as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you a paradise is opened, a tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, wickedness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is shown the treasure of immortality. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die. For the things aforesaid shall receive you. So thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it is not his will that men should come to naught, but they which be created have defiled the name of him that made him, and were unthankful to him which prepared life for them. And therefore is my judgment now at hand. These things have I not showed unto all men, but unto thee, and a few like thee. Then I answered and said, Behold, O Lord, now hast thou shown me the multitude of the wonders which thou wilt begin to do in the last times. But at what time thou hast not shown me. That concludes the actual text. Now, also to go along with that, I do have a prophetic unction that came about as a result of reading this text. I will begin that at this time. No man knows the day nor the hour, though it was ordained from before time began. Only Father knows when the fullness of time will be fulfilled. Only Father knows the hearts of his righteous ones, his peculiar people, those who labor in prayer in body and spirit and long for him to return. The New Jerusalem is in the hearts of Jehovah's faithful remnant, as they worship him in spirit and in truth. Look not to the places of this world, for to name this place and that place of his return. Turn into yourself and seek the Master who is to come. Let no man tell you over there is the Christ, or this one here is the Christ. Come again and follow him. For the kingdom of Jehovah is invisible to the worldly man. Their gods in heaven is an amalgam of the worldly things that they hold dear. Yet those things are idols that they have built and fashioned in place of me. I am their creator, yet they regard not me. I provide all good things, yet they prefer these things and not me. Things made with human hands. The time has come when their houses built upon sand will crumble. Their vain pursuit of acquisition will come to nothing. They strip themselves bare to acquire worldly attire, while in that which will exist forever they shed away and shun with no desire. Away, away, they will blow away as the chaff that burneth. Only the seed shall remain, the seed bearing much fruit that remaineth. This be the word of the Most High. Thank you very much for listening, and God